Jai Hind. Welcome to class of Satellite and Radar System. This is Unit 2, Part 5. Today we'll be talking about satellite link design. In our previous lectures also, we have been through satellite link design. So today we'll be talking about design of specifically the downlink, uplink, then the overall link design, then link budget calculation for it, and finally the examples. The question here is, why do we study downlink and uplink separately? We know that these the frequencies used for uplink and downlink is also different. There are reasons behind it, and even the path from an earth station to satellite and from satellite to an earth station is kept separate. So these two links are geographically and technically two separate links. So we have to study it separately, right? And finally what we do, we go with the overall calculation for it, overall link budget calculation. You know, if this is my transmitting earth station, here is my satellite located, and it is communicating to the receiving earth station. This link and this link has to be separately studied, right? So let's start with design of downlink. When we think of designing a system, there are several parameters that has to be taken care of. So what are the major parameters that we need to take care of whenever we design our downlink? First of all, when we think of designing a downlink, we should be taking care of two things, that is the C to N ratio and the revenue, that is, or the traffic, right? Why C to N and revenue? In any kind of wireless communication, noise is a very prominent factor that is somehow going to affect our communication. So when we calculate the overall power of a system that is received, we do the calculation in terms of power of signal and in terms of power of noise, and the mathematical parameter that is calculated in terms of ratio of the average signal power to average noise power. In case of satellite communication, we call that as carrier, right? Because after modulation only that signal is transmitted to long distance. So that carrier power, average carrier power to average noise power gives us a mathematical value that how resilient our system is to noise, right? If my receiver works well with C to N ratio, suppose 1 of the system, although this value should be high, now consider another system that works well with C to N ratio 2, and if C to N ratio falls below this value, my system stops receiving the signal. Actually it receives, but it will not appropriately interpret that received signal. So that system is not considered good. So the system which works appropriately with minimum C to N ratio is considered to be a good system, right? So while designing a system, we should take care of that my system must be working with minimum C to N ratio. That is one of the major requirement. Other requirement is of course the finances associated with it, that is the budget. If my system works well with minimum budget, and in case of satellite communication, how do I call it? It is working well with minimum cost if it is giving, with minimum input cost if it is giving maximum revenue. How? By carrying more amount of traffic in the available bandwidth, then that system is a good system. This is somehow can be compared with the bandwidth. Why? We know that any communication system has two major parameters or constraints or resources, that is my power and bandwidth. So here we have discussed about power, that my system must be working well, right, with minimum C to N ratio, and here we are talking about the bandwidth and the cost, that with the available bandwidth, it should be generating maximum revenue with minimum cost, right? So these are the two major requirements that has to be taken care of when we think of designing a downlink. All the same applies for uplink. We are going to study it separately here, and finally we'll be combining it, right? Any satellite link can be designed with very large antennas to achieve high C/N ratios under all conditions, true, but the cost will be high, right? We can think of designing big antennas, large size antennas, but that will add on to my cost as well, right? The art of good system design is to reach the best compromise of system parameters that meets the specification at lowest cost. That is, we want to reach an optimum level where with minimum involvement of finances we get maximum output, right? For example, if a satellite link is designed, it is well expressed with an example here. If a satellite link is designed with sufficient margin to overcome 20 dB rain fade, then a 3 dB fade, earth station antennas will be 7 times the diameter. Okay, if you want to compare, if you want to reach to this level from 20 dB to 3 dB, how much do I have to increase the size of antenna? 7 times. And when I increase the size of the antenna with this much value, that will add on to the cost, right? So we have to reach somewhere in some optimized level where with minimum involvement of money we get maximum output, right? So all satellite communication links are affected by rain attenuation. Rain is something we separately study in satellite communication. You might have noticed when there is rainy outside, we don't receive signal in our D2H, right, direct to home, because rain is an important factor that affects our signal badly, adversely, right? If we talk about C-band, that is 6.4 GHz band, the effect of rain on the link is small, right? These are the facts. These are certain facts that I am discussing here. In 1411 GHz, excuse me, that is Ku band, and even more in 3020 GHz, that is Ka, K above, K under, right? Rain attenuation becomes all important. That is, as we go higher in bandwidth, the effect of rain increases, right? It means that C/N ratio in the receiver will fall below the minimum permissible value for proper operation of the link, for between 0.5 to 0.0, and that is, this much of error is always received. We have to see this particular error in which bandwidth case and this particular error in which bandwidth case. We can see that C bands works appropriately as it works with lower frequencies. So C band works with 99.99% of accuracy, whereas when we go in higher bandwidths, the accuracy somehow drops to 99.5, right? The allowable outage time for a link, outage is the time for which we receive no signal, no communication, no actual feasible communication for a link, depends in part on the traffic carried. If you talk about telephone traffic, it needs real-time channels that are maintained for the duration of the call, true. So for C band or Ku bands, it is used for voice channels with sufficient link margin that outage times are small. So we keep one thing for sure, that for smaller bandwidths where we need real-time communication, the outage should be minimum. So we have to work in that direction. Internet transmissions are less affected by short outages and generally do not require a real-time channel, right? So for internet, we are always not working in real time until and unless we are talking about VoIP, voice over IP, like video calls or audio calls. Then of course we are talking about real time. So some amount of outage is tolerable here. So here these are less affected by short outages, but as they generally do not require a real time channel, making Ka band best suited for this, right? Now let's talk about link budgets. C/N ratio calculation is simplified by the use of link budgets. We have discussed this in elaborated way in our previous lectures. So you can refer the previous lectures for the same. What is link budget actually? This is the definition which I have highlighted here. A link budget is a tabulated method for evaluating the received power and noise power in a radio link, right? When I make table of the parameters which are used for evaluating, that is calculating the received power and noise, because all that budget calculation we do in terms of power, right? So what are the factors? Those affecting factors are tabulated and then final calculation is carried out. So that tabulated representation is called as link budget. Link budget invariably use decibel units, true. Power we express in decibel most of the time for all quantities, so that signal and noise powers can be calculated by addition and subtraction. Another reason for expressing it with log to the base 10, that is in dB, is it makes all the calculation in plus and minus. All the multiplication will be in plus and all the ratio division will be expressed in minus. So that makes our calculation bit easier. The link budget must be calculated for an individual transponder, true. It must be the approach and must be repeated for each of the individual links, right? So in a two-way satellite communication link, there will be 4 separate links, each requiring a calculation of C/N ratio. For like two-way satellite communication, where satellite is communicating to the transmitting and receiving earth station, there are 4 links that has to be established separately, right? And finally we calculate the overall link budget. When a bent pipe transponder is used, the uplink and downlink C/N ratio must be combined to give an overall. So about bent pipe transponder we have discussed in our subsystems unit, right? Link budgets are usually calculated for a worst case, right? Whenever we come up with some universal final equation of something, that has to be calculated considering in mind the worst possibilities, right? Too much of noise, rain, considering all those things we come up with an equation, and that is required, right? Because we have to be prepared for the worst case scenarios as well. The one in which the link will have the lowest C/N ratio, true. Factors which contribute to a worst case scenario include an earth station located at the edge of the satellite coverage. Suppose the satellite has this much coverage. If I consider my earth station is at the edge of the coverage, not being here or here, then there are chances there will be attenuation in the signal. Edge of the satellite coverage zone, where the received signal is typically 3 dB lower than in the center of the zone. This is calculated that here the signal will be approximately 3 dB less than of what it is at the center, right? Because of the satellite antenna pattern, maximum path length from the satellite to the earth station, a low elevation angle at the earth station, giving the highest atmospheric path attenuation in clear air. Clear air is the best case, and maximum rain attenuation on the link causes loss of risk, and rain causes maximum of the attenuation. So we can calculate it for clear air condition, either for rain condition, right? This will lead to loss of received signal power and an increase in the receiving system noise temperature. This is the case of rain, which is discussed here. So all this link budget calculation we have covered in previous lectures. There's a overview of it. The calculation of carrier to noise ratio in a satellite link, that is PR, received power, can be given by EIRP. We know EIRP is equals to PT into GT, that is transmitted power, multiplication of transmitted power and gain of the transmitting antenna. And here GR is also considered, that is gain of the receiving antenna. These two parameters must be plus, right? And all these are the attenuations or losses. L underscore P tells me path loss, attenuation loss, losses associated with the receiving antenna, losses associated with the transmitting antenna. So all these losses must be subtracted. This is when we calculate in decibel watt. So all calculation in plus and minus. Receiving, so this was the expression which we have calculated, which we have come up in our previous lecture, that is total link budget calculation can be given in terms of transmitted and received power, the relation of the transmitting power and the received power, how my received power is related to the transmitted power. This equation expresses that. Now if I talk about the system noise temperature, even the noise temperature is calculated in terms of power. So if we talk about a receiving terminal with a system noise temperature Ts Kelvin, T underscore S Kelvin, and a noise bandwidth Bn, P underscore N Hertz, has a noise power Pn, P underscore N, referred to the output terminal of the antenna. Here the noise power will be given as, we all are aware of this expression, Pn equals to K Ts Bn. Here my K is Boltzmann constant, Ts is my system temperature which is in Kelvin, Bn is my noise bandwidth which is in Hertz, and this calculation in watt, although we can do it in decibel watt, right? And when we do it in decibel watt, we do it like this, right? Here it was in multiplication, we can write it in addition form, right? Here K is the Boltzmann constant, this is the value in decibel, Ts is the system noise temperature in decibel Kelvin, and Bn is the noise bandwidth of the receiver in decibel Hertz, and we express it in decibel, right? So this picture shows a satellite link, how overall we must visualize it, right? If this is the satellite and this is equator and this satellite has this much coverage, this shows a domestic satellite link to the continental United States viewed from geostationary orbit, right, which is placed in this orbit and coverage of this much, right? So this is shown in the picture. Now let's talk about uplink. After downlink, we must be talking about uplink separately. The uplink design is easier than the downlink in many cases, since an accurately specified carrier power must be presented at the satellite transponder, and it is often feasible to use much higher power transmitters at earth station that can be used on a satellite, right? This calculation is easier because we are pretty much aware of the transmitted power that we are transmitting from the earth station, and that is in our control. We can use even very high power. Whereas in case of downlink, as the power comes from the satellite, we cannot exceed it after a certain limit, because that will add on to the cost. We cannot even overload our satellite with more number of transponders or more amount of transmitting power, because that will add on to the cost of the satellite. That is indirectly, as to increase the power, we have to increase the number of transponders on board, and if we increase the weight of the satellite, that will add on to the cost, right? So uplink design is somewhat easier than the downlink design, as this power can be controlled and can be increased to the level which we desire. The cost of transmitters tend to be high compared with the cost of receiving antenna in satellite communication system. The satellite transponder is a quasi-linear amplifier, and the received carrier level determines the output level, right? We can use a TWT, traveling wave tube, for as the output high power amplifier, HPA, in the transponder, as it is often the case, and FTMA. In satellite like analog systems, we use FTMA, frequency division multiple access. So HPA, my high power amplifier, must run with a predetermined back off values must also be considered, right, whenever we are talking about power. The output backup is typically 1 to 3 decibel, right, when there is more than one signal present in the transponder. So the link equation here is used to make this calculation using either a specified transponder C/N ratio or a required transponder output power level. So we must be aware of these values at least. When a C/N ratio is specified for the transponder, the calculation of required transmit power is straightforward. Let us write it as C/N. For uplink, we will write it subscript like up, and for downlink, we might write it as like this. Measured in noise bandwidth Bn. The bandwidth Bn Hertz is the bandwidth of the bandpass filter in the IF stage of the earth station receiver for which the uplink signal is intended, right? Even if Bn is much less than the transponder bandwidth, it is important that the uplink C/N ratio must be calculated in the bandwidth of the receiver. What is the whole concept of these points? Whenever we calculate C/N, we have to consider precisely the bandwidth in which noise is considered, right, which is an important factor. So if I after talking about uplink design and downlink design separately, now if I want to combine and calculate the overall C/N ratio, how do I do it? The overall C/N ratio can be given by this reciprocal formula, right? If I name it as BER, as in case of digital communication, bit error rate, or I call it SN, signal to noise ratio, which we do in case of analog signals. The baseband channel of an earth station receiver is determined by the ratio of carrier power to noise power in the IF amplifier at the input to the demodulator. Then we consider noise from many sources, and those noises are expressed as N1, N2, N3 and so on. So if there are different noise sources, then how do I calculate the overall C/N ratio? Then overall C/N ratio can be given by this formula, which is also called as reciprocal formula. What is reciprocal formula? This is C/N ratio equals to 1 upon 1 by C/N1, first case, second case, third case, and goes on, right? So this is important. Overall C/N ratio, where there are different kind of noises, can be calculated using this formula. And when I express this in decibel, we express these things in plus and, that is addition and subtraction manner, right? So we can, in decibel watt, 10 log to the base 10, all noises are separately written here. So this is expressed in decibel, right? So this is how I calculate the overall C/N ratio. Now let's talk about the rain fade. How much my rain affects the total overall communication. One thing we have to take care of whenever we are talking about satellite communication, my transmitter and receiver are considered geographically separated from each other, and when they are geographically far from each other, if we are considering the rain attenuation at the transmitter part, that is transmitting link, then we have to ignore the rain in the downlink part. Why? Geographically it is observed if there is a rainfall in some area beyond 20 kilometers, there is no rainfall. So if I am considering the effect of rain in uplink, I have to consider the case of clear air in case of downlink, right? I cannot consider the rain fade in uplink as well as downlink. I have to consider it in one case. Rain attenuation affects uplink and downlink differently. We usually assume that train attenuation is occurring on either the uplink or the downlink, but not on both at the same time. True? This is usually true for earth stations that are well separated geographically, but not if they are close together, that is approximately 20 kilometers, right? Heavy rain occurs with somewhat random geographic distribution for less than 1% of the time, right? So, here also there are chances of error if we go by this theory, but the chances of error is less than 1%, which is tolerable. So if we talk about uplink attenuation, C2N up, rain attenuation on uplink path, if we talk about, it reduces the power at the satellite receiver input, thus reduces the uplink in direct proportion to the attenuation on the slant path. Let's see in equation how it affects. If the transponder is operating in a linear mode, the output power will be reduced by the same amount, which will cause C2N down to fall by an amount equal to the attenuation on the uplink, right? So this is compensated. When both C2N up and C2N down are reduced by this much value, this is attenuation. If I consider attenuation in uplink, I write it as A subscript up in decibel, right? The value of C2N, overall C2N, is reduced by exactly the same amount as, right? If my rain has affected my uplink and I have already reduced the overall power in case of uplink, then there is no need to again subtract the value when I calculate the overall C2N, as it has already been subtracted in the uplink part. This is what I mean here. So if I talk about C2N in case of different transponders, that is in case of linear transponder, if I consider there is rain and I am calculating it for uplink, then in case of rain, the overall C2N ratio from the clear air condition will be reduced by this much value if it is a linear transponder. Simple attenuation because of the rain fade. If it is a non-linear transponder, then I have to consider gain of the system as well. How much there is the deviation in gain has occurred. Now, if I talk about regenerative transponder or automatic gain control, then this attenuation is compensated inside only the system, which is a good system because it cancels out the attenuation because of the rain fade. Then we can equate the clear air condition with the rain condition. We don't have to consider attenuation in case of regenerative transponders. Now suppose we consider rain in case of downlink. Then in case of downlink, rain is equals to clear air condition minus rain and noise because of the rain. Here we are considering the receiver noise as well, right, which can be calculated in terms of noise power as well. Now considering the uplink and downlink, the overall C2N is calculated or expressed in this way. Here we are considering rain in case of downlink but not in case of uplink, and the overall C2N is given with reciprocal formula. So we are applying reciprocal formula considering rain fade in downlink but not in uplink. So this is the overall gist of what we have spoken or discussed so far. Now, how do we design a system for specific performance? There are several steps. A typical two-way satellite communication link consists of 4 separate paths, true. Outbound link, inbound link, right? For uplink, outbound, inbound. For downlink, outbound and inbound. The links in 2 directions are independent and can be designed separately, true, unless they share a single transponder, right? A broadcast link like the DBS system is earlier in the chapter or in the previously discussed slides shows that it's a one-way system with just one uplink and one downlink. So these are several steps for all the calculations we have done so far. We have spoken about what is link design and how do we calculate it, how do we come up with the expression, that is how PR and PT related, right? All that calculation, then calculation of C2N, those are written in step, right? First of all, determine the frequency band in which you have to operate, determine communication parameters, right? Determine parameters of the transmitting and receiving earth station, then start a transmitting earth station, establish uplink budget, then find output power of the transponder, then establish downlink power, then calculate signal to noise ratio or bit error rate, find link margins, evaluate results and compare, determine propagation conditions under which the link must operate, calculate outage, redesign the system by changing the parameters which are adversely affecting the system. So these are the steps. This shows all the parameters are written in tabulated manner. This is system design example. So this is basically link budget, where in a tabulated form we have tried to mention all the things that actually affect the power, right? If I take example of Ku band satellite parameters, we are talking about where satellite is placed, what is the antenna gain, receiving system noise temperature, right? Power of the transponder, then antenna diameter, aperture, uplink frequency. Then for receiving, we are again talking about downlink frequency, noise temperature, and effect of rain as well. All things are tabulated, right? This is an example. You can go through it. And that's it for today. Thank you.